JoBros are a sacred art within JoJo's Bizarre Adventures because in order for a part to be excellent, I feel like you need a very good JoBro. That's why today I want to go over some of the best JoBros in JoJo's Bizarre Adventures history. Now, if you want to ever help me decide what YouTube video I'm going to make, you can go to my TikTok and join my now bulletin board, which has about 1,000 joins. I just made it today at 8 a.m. I put a poll up. You could probably see it on the screen now, but I put a poll up asking what video should I make, and a lot of y'all wanted this, so y'all are getting this. Now, to start off, we have to, of course, talk about Bruno Bucciarati. There is no JoBro list without Bruno Bucciarati because he always has to be at the forefront. I'm sorry, that's how I feel personally. You let me know when there are other JoBros who built an entire group, and was basically their either big brother figure or he was just their brother figure and saved them from depression, jail, or even worse, death. The only two he didn't necessarily save out of death, like certain death, was Mista and Giorno. Those were the only two that were somewhat fine on their own. Narancia, Fugo, Trish, Abacchio, all of them, they needed Bruno. And on top of that, Bruno Bucciarati faced multiple people in part 5, and he was the reason the group didn't die a good few times. Now, I need to remind y'all, if he would have died against Sekko, like actually died, the group would have low-key been fucked. Even though I don't believe that would have ever happened because Diablo was tailing and he probably would have got rid of Sekko and just went to the Coliseum himself to see what was over there, and then we still would have gotten the events of Silver Chariot Requiem, but like we would just be down Bruno, and I don't think they win without Bruno because again, Bruno's the reason they all got their bodies back. He's the one who punched that little sunlight in the back of Silver Chariot Requiem's head, really reversing everything Silver Chariot Requiem did and putting Silver Chariot Requiem away. But Bruno isn't the only fantastic JoBro. There are many JoBros that have came through all shapes and sizes. I mean, we could even go to part 1. Speedwagon was a magnificent JoBro. Magnificent. Literally, he didn't do anything physically because he literally couldn't, but he was there for moral and mental support. I feel like without Speedwagon, Jonathan kind of would have gone crazy just a little bit. Yeah, he definitely would have gone crazy. And on top of that, Speedwagon did not just accept him for the person he is and the strength that he had. Him and his group could have realistically probably jumped Jonathan back on Ogre Street, and that might have been the end of part 1, and Dio would have just won. Speaking of Speedwagon, that reminds me of a certain family I have to talk about, you know, as I continue this video. The Zeppeli family. I can't make a list about all-time JoBros without talking about the 3 elite JoBros of the Zeppeli family. You have the first one who was a mentor to Jonathan Joestar, the second one who was best friends with Joseph Joestar, and the third one who was a mentor slash best friend slash brother to Johnny Joestar. All 3 of them hit. Now, of course, it should be no surprise to anyone my favorite is Gyro Zeppeli, but that doesn't discredit Caesar or Will Zeppeli at all. Because if you look at Will Zeppeli, I've always found him to be very respectable, and I thought his personality was the first real bizarre thing we saw within JoJo's Bizarre Adventures. Of course, past Danny getting burned in an incinerator, but I do feel like Will Zeppeli, his character was so needed in part 1 because he brought an energy, a life to it that without it, I feel like part 1 would be a lot worse. You know, I don't know who you could plug in for Will Zeppeli in that specific situation because Jonathan needed a mentor. He needed someone to teach him Ripple, and he needed a way to beat this now vampiric Dio. Now with Caesar, it's a lot more boiled down to I love him and Joseph's chemistry so much, and also love his and Lisa's chemistry. That whole trio dynamic, especially like the training arcs, whenever I go back and rewatch them, I love them so much. The way Caesar and Joseph's dynamic, it really did remind me of brothers, but like brothers as younger, you know, like in their teens and one's a preteen or something like that, just arguing and bickering. But it's funny, you know, it's funny most of the time until the last argument, then it's not funny anymore. And then Gyro is everything I said about Will and Caesar combined. That's literally what I look at him as, and that's what Araki tried to make him as, and I feel like he did a pretty damn good job. The dialogue between Johnny and Gyro fits so well, so perfectly. It doesn't feel like anything's fucked up. You know, the jokes, I don't get them because I'm not Japanese, but they do make me smile. And Gyro was initially introduced as Johnny's mentor. Even though Gyro didn't want to do it, he was so stubborn, he wasn't letting Gyro go without getting a chance. So once he finally gets the chance, we finally get the lessons, and we finally, at the end of the manga, you get to the most important lesson. And if you didn't tear up just a little bit, there might be something wrong with you. To end it off, let's talk about another JoBro hotspot, part 4, which has 2 of my favorite JoBros. Yes, I do not limit the JoBro title to 1 person per part. Fight me, I don't care. But in part 4, we have Koichi and Okuyasu. I love both of them dearly. What can you say about Koichi other than he really is a reliable guy? I'm sorry, he really is. Who else are you knowing that's going to get you out of almost anything? Last minute, last second, always quick on their feet, always quick to strategize. This is the same man who almost caught Giorno Giovanna multiple times. He literally spent multiple days just running into him. Now granted, he also had the added boost that stand users attract other stand users, but even still. And then as far as Okuyasu, the reason I'm putting Okuyasu on this list, because I know a lot of people wouldn't, I'm putting him because of pure bias and enjoyment. I enjoyed Okuyasu's interactions with anyone throughout part 4, not even just Josuke. I feel like him and Josuke, it was peak teenager behavior. And honestly, at the time I was watching part 4, I was around the same age as them, so all of their jokes was landing with me. Bro, I still remember watching the part 4 dub one time, and this man Josuke saying, "For the love of God, put down the meat." I love that. No matter who thinks it's corny, I was cracking up at that shit when I watched it for the first time. I'm sorry, I was. Okuyasu's comedy was everything. His mindset was great. Sometimes it's a little annoying because you're just like, oh, can you please use your stand just a little bit more efficiently, smidge it more. But even then, I don't feel like he was a bad stand user for the hand. I feel like he actually used that stand pretty decently, especially if you look at his fight against Josuke. Oh, and of course, the first fight is always going to showcase most of the abilities, but even against Red Hot Chili Peppers, he used it pretty well. But in order for him to make this list, I had to think about it, and I was just like, you know what, he has some memorable moments I enjoy so much, I have to put him on here. But if you enjoyed this video, yes you, please make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. We're on the road to 5K, so anything helps. And until next time, peace.